Hey guys, I'm Tom. In this video you will see a guide and information about the Oppressor. You can buy the Oppressor at Warstock for 3.5 million or for 2.6 million if you beat the Work Dispute MOC mission as host. To customize the bike you need a MOC or Avenger. It has one seat. It is a primary color and a secondary color and 22 liveries. I'm keeping the performance part short. The top speed while flying, or the average speed, is 170 km per hour. It boosts for 1 second and it takes 2.4 seconds to refill the boost after you hit the ground with both wheels. The armor is pretty much non-existent. Any weak explosive or stronger will one-shot the bike. Explosive sniper needs 2 shots, but usually the driver will just fall off after 1 shot. It has no countermeasures at all. About the weapons of the bike, it has machine guns. Their range is 100 meter and their fire rate is 900 rounds per minute. They do 5.5% damage to a level 100 plus player, so it takes 19 shots to kill and 1.3 seconds is the time to kill. That combined with the terrible aiming makes it a piss poor choice to fight, in almost any case. The missiles of the bike are way better, but they require research. Their range is 545 meters. The lock-on range is 300 meters and the fire rate is 60 RPM. The missile speed is 426 km per hour, like most homing missiles. They have pretty good tracking. They are not as good as the Oppressor Mark IIs, but they are better than the homing launcher on the ground. So they are somewhat reliable, unless the target is dodging it on purpose. These explosives are weak, and you have only 20 missiles. If you run out, and respawn the bike to refill with the MC. So is this bike worth it? Well, before the Arena Wars update, I was about to say yes, it's very worth it. But now I'm not sure. Because the Mark II received a buff to the speed, and it's now almost as fast as the Oppressor Mark I in terms of traveling. So if you already have the Mark II, don't bother with the MK1, I would say. Now to the flying and PvP guide of the Oppressor. For taking off there are a few different methods. First you just do a wheelie and then when your bike points up a little you boost. That makes you do a pretty big jump and you just can get the wings out when you start to descend. So you have a pretty quick start. You can also just have the wings out already and start the bike. That also gives you the option to turn around right at the start of flying. And you can also combine both to have a shorter turn, like a faster turn, initial turn. Especially if you don't have much space, this is useful, or if you have a bump in front of you and you would just crash if you boost normally. Now the flying basics. Well, it's not really flying, it's gliding, so it operates by momentum. To gain momentum you boost or you fly down, because the gravity will give you more momentum. And if you keep flying up, then you will lose the momentum. If you push the stick down and to the side you want, you can steer the bike to left or right. Because if you just push the stick to the side, then you will just go down, because you don't counter steer the gravity. If you pull up too much or too much down, like if the bike turns upside down in the process, it will flip around, so you are flying normally again. This is there to make it easier to use. When gliding 90 degrees up or down, then you can rotate the bike, well, roll the bike like you want. So you can choose how to exit this vertical movement into a horizontal movement. This is especially useful if you dive bomb and have to correct. If you have some room for this, you can pretty much shoot anywhere you want. To fly for a long time, push the stick up and down in a specific rhythm, like you have to get a feel for it, so you barely lose any altitude. You can see in the background footage of me going from the Mount Chiliad to well past Elsa A in one flight with the regular Oppressor. How to land on buildings. The easiest way would be if you barely make it over a roof and you can just drop on it. But sometimes you're just too fast, have too much momentum, and there's no way you will ever stop on the roof unless you just crash into it, and well, it doesn't look pretty, but it works too. But if you wanna do it nicely, with a lot of momentum, you kinda have to pass a building, like the roof, pretty low, and then pull back and do a looping. And with the character you keep facing the building. And this will make you go slightly above the roof, and then you just flip the bike around and land on your wheels, and it looks awesome. Now the building boosting. This is very fun to do and it's useful. If you are in the city with the skyscrapers, you can just pretty much fly around by just touching with the wheels the buildings all the time and refilling the boost that way. Because the boost always refills if you hit with both wheels the building. It also works when you go down, but it's a bit tricky, like you have to be very careful because it's easy to fall off like that. And it also works sideways. For this to work you need to approach the wall in a 30-degree angle somewhat, and then in the last second you make the wheels turn to the building, so you will kinda do a barrel roll. It's kinda difficult to do and is almost never useful, but it looks very cool. Now the PvP related guide. Dodging homing missiles. For that you simply pull back if you hear a missile coming. Oppressor Mark II, Stromberg and any cars that have homing missiles cannot be dodged. Also the Chernobog cannot really be dodged, so always pay attention what's shooting you. Also if you boost right at the moment a missile is fired at you, there's a risk that the missile still tracks you because your turn goes wide. So also keep that in mind, especially if you fight other oppressors, because that's it. One other vulnerable moment aside from landing there is. To attack ground target is pretty simple, you just dive bomb them. You can also use thermal if you really want to, it's a bit scummy but it works. And yeah, just stick above them. I like to call the bike the Pocket Hydra for that reason, because it's so easy to dive bomb stuff and so fast to get. It's also my number one sniper counter, explosive sniper counter. To attack any vehicles, well most vehicles, just spam the homing missiles, they have pretty decent tracking. If you see some helicopter guy that can dodge missiles, try to boost past him and turn the bike back so you have a 45-degree angle backwards. Like the bike points back and up, and then you can shoot a missile like that and you don't explode. Because if you normally shoot against flight direction, the bike will spawn the missile inside and it explodes. And this little trick is a really mean way to get rid of helicopter pilots that can dodge. It also works sometimes against other oppressors. Jets can usually not be beaten with the bike unless you get a lucky free aimed missile, so I wouldn't try to fight jets. To fight other oppressors, you simply stay on the ground with your oppressors and let the opponent come to you. You just drive towards him and spam missiles, because he's way higher than you, so the missiles have time to turn around and hit him. If his blip is moving very slow above you, drive around a little bit so he can't dive bomb you as easily. If you really want to fly, then boost and take off after the boost starts refilling, so you have an emergency boost just in case if you need it. If your opponent is doing the same as you, staying on the ground, drive towards him, shoot one missile. If that misses, fine, you just drive past him and stop the bike immediately and get off the bike and shoot him with the regular guns. At least for me that worked so far always. Less efficient if the other guy knows what's coming because he already got killed like that. If you happen to fight a helicopter with chaff countermeasure, the only option is to either run or free aim it. So you will have a tough time against a hunter because you need to get 3 to 5 hits to destroy it. If you fight a savage, get very close and shoot from above, so it hits the main rotor. For armored vehicles, you need to and respawn the bike a couple times probably, depending on the vehicle. Like a Night Shark takes 27 missiles and you have only 20. Keep that in mind if you attack those. Don't bother fighting any vehicle with undodgeable missiles. That includes Stromberg, Oppressor Mark II, Vigilantes, Scramjet, Deluxo, Ruiner 2000, and probably the Chernobog. Haven't tested that much, but pretty effective against most vehicles. Now the extra part. This stuff is not useful at all, but it's cool. First, the upside down flying. Do a loop and just counter steer the auto stabilization. It's a bit weird, but you will get used to it. Another way is to do the loop downwards, and again another way is doing a wheelie and take off like that, turn the bike back so it's almost upside down and then just get the wings out. This will just flip the bike around but keep it still upside down for a moment so you can counter steer. The other trick is just named something cool. I have no idea how to name this. Drive, get the wings out, and take off a little. So you do a little jump. Then you pull back the bike until it's again upside down, and you boost and keep pulling back. So the bike is pretty flat above the ground. And if you now land on both wheels, you drive for a while backwards, which looks pretty cool. Another tip, if you jump off the bike right before you crash on the ground, you get barely any damage. You will survive 99% of the times. Thanks for watching, and I will do next probably the helicopter comparison, and after that I will do the volatile guide, because a friend asked me to do this. See ya!